Okay, next up we're going to do the primary colors. This is a topic that's very important, and it's something that you need to learn as a mural artist. You're going to use it all the time, super useful. And I'm going to try and be as concise as possible. I've recorded this video in a few different formats, but I just thought it wasn't clear enough. So I'm going to use Photoshop and try and go as quick as I can. Sorry in advance for the noise in the background. For some reason, everybody's making noise today. I've got dogs barking, people doing cutting grass, whatever. So I've got to record this. So yeah, bear with me. Okay, so first we're going to start with the misconception. So this is what we all learned at school as kids, myself included. Blue, red, yellow are the primary colors. They're not, and I'll explain what they are. But for the purpose of the basics, they do work. If you mix blue and yellow, to some extent, you'll get green. You mix red and yellow, you get orange, all that stuff. Cool. But as far as getting, say, this color, for example, there's no amount of mixing these ones that will give you that. So what are the primary colors? The real ones are these. This is called CMYK, or cyan, magenta, yellow, key for ketone or black. And this is what's used in printing, so CMYK. In paint, you also have W, or white. With these 5 colors, you can make potentially any color that you want. There are some limitations, and I'll explain that in a minute. So if we have a look at this chart that I made, you've got the 2 families that we're going to be talking about. You got CMYKW, so cyan, magenta, yellow, black, and white. And then you got RGB, which is the screen you're watching this on. So you got R for red, G for green, and B for blue. They work together. So if you were to mix 2 primary colors of paint together, you would get a primary color of light. So here I've put them together. So you got CMY and then RGB. So if you were to mix cyan blue and magenta pink, you would get ultramarine blue, which is the one here, which is what you see on your screen. And it's the same for pink and yellow, you would get red, and then blue and yellow, you would get green. It works backwards as well. So if you were to mix a red light and a green light, you would get yellow. This is the one, when I used to do photography, it was the one that was the hardest to wrap my head around. So basically, if you were to mix these 3 colors, you would get white. So if you have, you can go to, if you want to do the experiments, you can go on Amazon or go to like a photography shop and get some gels. The gels are like the frosty, the plastic paper that you can buy. You can buy all sorts of different colors. You can also buy CMY, but you can definitely buy RGB gels. And if you were to get, if you were to put a red gel, they're like transparent colors. So if you were to put a red and a red and a green on top of each other, and then shine the light, especially when you got red, you need a strong light, otherwise it doesn't quite work. But if you were to put these 2 gels on top of each other, then you would get yellow. And it's kind of a fun experiment when you do, because at first it doesn't quite look like it would work. Same with these 2. If you were to put these 2 together, you would get a magenta pink. And if you were to use a blue and a green gel with a strong light, you would get cyan. It's the same way the other way around. If you were to mix cyan blue and yellow, you would get green, and so on. A lot of the time people think, well, if you want to make a pink, you just add white to the mix. It doesn't quite work like this. So if we have a look at the color swatches, so if I was to use red, so the reddest red I can get, the value should be, so 100% magenta, 100% yellow, no cyan, no black. Unfortunately on Photoshop, it doesn't give you the white value, so you can't use that for mixing paint. As I'm going this way towards the white, it decreases the amount of magenta and yellow, but it doesn't actually tell me how much white I should use in my mix. So it could be a good tool to use, but it doesn't actually work. It doesn't matter if your document is in RGB or CMYK format, it's the same, but whatever. Okay, so say if we have a red, and I'm gonna create a new layer, and I'm gonna use a brush. So that's gonna be my, what did I do? Sorry, I'm underneath, there we go. So say if I was to add a bit of white to the mix, get this, and then add a bit more white, and then more white, and as you can see, as you can see, I'm going towards the salmon, but I'm not going anywhere near a magenta pink. Last week I was painting for a trainer company, and I was painting one of their trainers and stuff, and one of the walls was basically this. It was magenta pink, and if I'd bought red and I was trying to mix it with white, this is what I would have had. It wouldn't have worked. I also used some spray cans, so that was fine, but the base was, I always buy, I actually bought some yesterday. I bought a pink, a blue, a yellow, a black, and a white. I get my 5 colors from Leyland, from the paint shop, and then from there I can mix whatever color I need. I've got a job coming up on Saturday, and I'm gonna need to have my colors. So this is what I do. I use my I think I talked about it in the paint segment. I go to a shop and I buy the CMYK equivalent. But as you can see, it doesn't actually work if I was to use red. It works better the other way, and I'll show you some examples in a minute. I've got a few colors that I'll show you how to get and all that. But as far as the color theory, I'm gonna get rid of these. This is what you gotta know. You got CMYK on one side, or CMY on one side, and then RGB on the other. If you were to use the colors you learned at school, the blue, the red, and the yellow, you can't actually obtain certain colors. So it's really important to have those colors. It's always in here in newspapers, or sometimes CMYK like in here, or it's like a dot or something. In a packet of crisps, I find the colors are more vibrant. It's just easier to find. So yeah, that might help you if you're looking for the right colors. Eventually, after a while, you sort of get used to it, and you know this is the right pink, the right yellow, the right blue, so on. So as you can see with this color, and this color, the free primary, you can mix a lot of colors. You could do like a lawn green, you could do like an emerald green, blue kind of thing. You can do all sorts of colors just with these three. Now it gets limited, and that's when you need to start using black and white. So I'm gonna get rid of this, and then I'm gonna put these here, and I'm gonna show you a few different colors. Eventually I'll move on to portrait and how to find those colors, but I just want to get the basics out of the way. So if you were to mix the three primary colors, so say you go to a paint shop and you ask them to just give you pink pigment, blue pigment, yellow pigment, and you're gonna mix them together. Your paint, the strength of your paint, in this case, it would be something like this. It's determined by how expensive and how accurate the manufacturer made the paint. So if I was to go, let's get the color picker. So we're gonna go with this. Sometimes your paint would be so good that you'll get something, let me make this a bit bigger. You'll get something even darker, like a really dark brown, which is almost like black. And this is great if you can get that. A lot of the time when you pay a bit less, you'll get a paint that's, a brown that's kind of like this. Also, if it's PVA glue or some type of acrylic or whatever, it'll look like this and it'll dry a bit darker. But sometimes, if you get like a cheaper paint, you will only have, this is as dark as you'll get, and that's all you can do. And that's when you start having to mix black and so on. Let me just get rid of these. So let's say this color here is the darkest color you can get when you're mixing those. This is great. Just in case you mix it a bit wrong and you put a little bit too much pink in your mix, and then you've got this reddish hue, then you need to balance it with what else is not there. So in this case, there's a bit too much pink. Okay, you just add a bit of blue and yellow. In this case, there's a little bit too much yellow, and it looks a bit like a forest green or something. That's cool. Just add a bit of blue and pink. In this case, there's a little bit too much blue, which will happen most often. Then you just balance it with a bit of pink and yellow. As long as, if you're looking for brown, as long as you've mixed it slightly to blue or pink or yellow, just add the two other colors to balance it. The moment you add black or white, or black and white, this is when you can't go back to like the deepest brown you can mix with those colors. So again, as long as it's a bit too red, it's okay. Just add a bit of yellow and blue, or one at a time. A bit of yellow. Oh, look, it's a bit too yellow. A bit of blue. Oh, it's too blue. It's fine. Just keep going. You can go around in circles, no problem, as long as you don't introduce any black or white. So the moment you introduce black and white to the mix, your saturation is going to be reduced. So say in this case, we're going to take this one. If I add black and white to the mix, now what I'm getting is something like this. If I add more black and white to the mix, getting something like this, more black and white to the mix, I'm going all the way to just a gray, a flat gray. So whenever you're adding black and white to a color, you're reducing the saturation. If you add black only, you're making it darker. If you add white only, you're making it lighter. So in this example at the top, all I've done is I started with this brown, and I'm going to do that now. So I'm going to go with that. So this is the brown, and all I'm doing is going towards the white. So I'll do that again. So I'll take a sample, I'll paint it here, I'll go towards the white, paint it here, towards the white, paint it here, and so on. And it can be whatever color you're after. You see there's a nice progressional pattern. You can also veer into a more vibrant tone with some white, no problem. And then if you start again with this one, so we're going to put it here, and now we're going to go down towards the black. So I'm going to go there, go there, and I'm going towards a really dark brown. So sometimes you'll have to use black. So you see, in theory, if you were to mix these three colors, you would get black. So you wouldn't need to add black. But because the color pigments that manufacturers make isn't 100% foolproof, you need to add black to it to help it along. So as you can see there, this is fine. Those colors look great. You know, they're just a darker brown, no problem. But if all you have are CMY, then obviously that's as dark as you can go. So in order to help it along, you use a bit of black. And this is where the theory changes a bit from the actual practice, from what you get. This is good to know. Now, let's just use a green, for example. So I'm going to go here, meat green. This is a meat green. If I was to add white to it, I get this. If I was to add, I'm going to go back to the middle. If I was to add black to it, I get this. So dark, or let's put it on the other side. So I got a medium green, then I got a dark green or a light green. Everything's fine. The moment I start to, let's go back to the middle. The moment I go this way, so this is the white value and the black value. The moment I go towards here, this is when you can see it becomes dull. So when you add black and white together, your colors become dull, which is fine. It might be what you're looking for. But this is something you should know. If you want to keep your colors quite vibrant, whether you're going dark or light, you want to make sure you mix either black or white, but not the two at the same time. So one or the other. Unless, of course, this is the color that you're after, and it's totally fine. So say if you wanted like a peach, salmon, which is a bit like a duller color, a bit more dull, you can add black and white to the mix, and then you get something like this, which is fine. That might be the color you're after. But just so you know, the moment you add black and white together, you're reducing the saturation. All right, let's clear this up a bit. Okay, cool. Now about the red. So if you were to mix a good magenta pink and a good yellow, this is the color you would have. You would get something that's this color. So it is red, 100%, but it's not a vibrant red. Whenever I mix these two colors, I never get a really deep red like this, because the manufacturers, again, don't mix it perfectly. And again, I get a red like this by mixing about 30% magenta pink and 70% magenta pink and about 30% yellow. And this is what gives me this. If I mix it 50-50, then I'm just straight into the orange values. This is maybe not like that, but maybe more like this. Yeah, this is more of a color if you mix it 50-50. To get a red, you have to mix them 70%, 30%. But as you can see, it's not a deep red. And this is why I will buy a red ready-made to get whenever I'm doing a job and I need a red that's very deep. And again, I mix it wrong. I don't mix it perfectly, but the main reason is because the manufacturers haven't gotten it 100% correct. So maybe the pink has got a bit of, I don't know, black in it, or the yellow's got a bit of white in it, and it doesn't give me like a really deep red. But nonetheless, it's red, and just so you understand, when you mix it yourself, you're not surprised. Also, another reason you want to have pink and blue and yellow as opposed to red or ultramarine or whatever is because the moment you start mixing them together, you just go off the chart. So say if I was to start with this red and I want to get a nice deep blue like this one. This one. Oh wait, I'm on CMYK. Hang on, let me just change the canvas to RGB. Don't merge. Sorry about that. There we go. That's better. So say if I want to have a blue like this, and I'm starting with a red, it's just not gonna work, because if I have this color and then I try to mix a cyan to it, I'm never gonna get here. I'm gonna get to something that looks a bit like it'd be a purple, but it'd be a dirty purple. So it'd be something like this. At most, I'm gonna get this. It could be a blue, but it'd be again like something like this. But if I was to start with a magenta pink, I can get really close to this. Again, last week when I was working at the office painting some murals, their blue was quite similar to this. So I was able to mix my primary colors and get something close to that. I bought a color that was close to this one, so that was okay. But there was some I needed to add a few details and stuff, so I needed to mix my own colors. So this, using these 5 colors, will get you out of trouble, and it's definitely something you want to get. Because if I was to get a green, for example, say I'll go to a shop and I buy this green, but now the client say, I want a slightly lighter green. Or say you buy this color and you've got to paint grass, for example. That's fine. You just get a medium green and then you add some black to your mix, and then you add some white and maybe yellow to your mix, and then you get this. Say if I put a bit of yellow into that, like that, then with these three colors, I can make, a forest scene, no problem. I can even go a bit darker, and I can, well, it's a bit dark, like that. And then I can go even lighter. And then with all of these colors, I can make a nice forest scene. And all I have is the medium green, and I'm adding black and white to it. So it's a good thing to know. You don't always have to just use these 5 colors. Like I said, you can start with a medium green, but it's very easy, obviously, to use a blue and a yellow to get this medium green, and then you add black and white to it. So with that, you just make everything very versatile. If you have to carry, so again, I'm taking last week's example because it was a fairly big job and I needed a lot of paint. So I got loads of white, and then I got my colors. I also got like a blue, something similar to the blue that they were using in their logo and stuff. But as much as possible, I was using my own colors, so I didn't have to go to the job with like a million paint buckets. It just becomes really cumbersome and it's difficult and whatever. So having those again makes everything very simple. And a lot of the time you'll be in the street and you try and do something. Having those colors, even in a small amount, will save the day a lot of the time. Okay, so let's clear this up again. Cool. However, I'm back on CMYK. Let me just put this on RGB color. Don't merge. Cool. So that's with the red. So I recommend having a red. Also, I recommend having a brown, because if you have to, so if you're using emulsion or latex paints and you're mixing those, it's okay, they're not too expensive. You can get brown and so on, and you can get the right color. But it's just cheaper because in the UK, a litre of this is about £20. So that's 20, 20, 20. We've got £60 for this. Or I could just go and get like a medium brown for £20 and save, £40. So what I would normally do is I would get a red just to be really vivid, and a brown to save having to mix all of those colors. When I'm using my, I talked about it in the airbrush segment, when I'm using my airbrush paints, they're quite expensive. They're also £20, but it's only like 120 ml, the small bottles. If I've got to mix my magenta, which is series 7, with my yellow, which is series 2, whatever, it doesn't make sense. I'm just wasting money. It's best to use a brown that you bought. It's just cheaper. Okay, so to sum up, the colors I normally use would be a brown, a red, and then black, white, and then cyan, magenta, yellow. With these 7 colors, it's really not much that I can't do for my clients. Like I said, 5 are great, but if you get these 2, this one to save you money and this one to get something a bit deeper and brighter, I mean, you could do anything with this and there's no problem. One last thing I want to talk about before I move on to the portrait is a yellow. So sometimes you would think to make a yellow a bit darker, you would add black, but it turns into some type of green hue, which is not great. It's better to add a bit of pink, and then you'll make it slightly orange, but ever so slightly, and then you get a darker orange or darker yellow, which is a lot more pleasing than a green like that. It's fine if that's the color you want, but it's good practice to learn to do it properly. So say if we go with well, let me go in here and get a proper yellow. So 100% yellow, 0% magenta, 0% cyan. Okay, so this is our yellow to start with, and if I'm going down to make it a bit darker by using black, it's you see it's turning into a green, but it's not great. If you want to get a green like this, it's just best to go with blue and whatever. But if you want a pleasing yellow, let's start again from the top. Start with that. It's easier to add a bit of magenta to your mix. So in this case, I'm going to go down towards the red. And red, remember, is magenta and yellow. And then this way, you get a much nicer yellow. This is still considered yellow, though veering on the orange, because I put quite a bit. But this is a much nicer yellow than when you get when you add black to the mix. So that's something you might want to do. It's also true when you're using pink. So if we start with this pink, it can look cool. It looks like a deep purple or something when you add black. So it kind of works, but it's just easier to add blue to your mix. Just really like a muscle memory. Just getting the right color is a good thing. Whenever it gets too blue, this is something that's very true. So instead of adding a bit of black, actually I'm gonna start with the two same colors. Let's go down here. So if I'm using a blue, so we're gonna do two blues here, and one of them I'm gonna add black to it. And the other one I'm gonna add pink. So I'm just moving towards the magenta. And I can add a bit of black if needed. Cool. So as you can see, we've got a nice progressional blend, basically. So you have pretty much all the tools with what I've showed you. So you can add black sometimes, or you can add one of the three or both remaining primary colors to get your mix. You can really do, with those colors, you can really do anything you want. If you were to use a jade, for example, or if you wanted a jade green, wait, what? Jade is a bit like that. Let me see. Yeah, more or less, a bit more yellow probably. Yeah. So say if you wanted this sort of color, this is just yellow, blue, and a bit of white, actually a lot of white. If you wanted it more emerald, you would just add more blue to the mix and get something like that, like more emerald, which is a lot of white and a good amount of blue and a little bit of yellow. And yeah, I mean, this is really down to experimenting. So if I wanted a salmon color, it's going to be a good amount of pink, let's say 60% pink, maybe 50% pink, 40% yellow, and then remaining 10% white. It's something like this. You put more white to it, you get a more progressive salmon, and then more white again, more progressive. This is something I urge you to try by yourself. So say this salmon here, if you think it's a little bit too orange, that's no problem. You just add a bit of pink to the mix. With the color picker on Photoshop, it's as close as I can bring it, but not perfect. Like I said, I tried to do it with paint, but it takes a long time and it wasn't clear, so that's why I decided to do it on Photoshop. But you see, now I've got a salmon which is a bit more pink, and now you can add more white and have something that resembles the color that we know to be salmon a bit more. So all of those are great when you're using them to paint portrait. Speaking of portrait, we're going to go here and I'm going to create a new page. Let's get some white. Okay, move this up. Cool. So when you're using your so obviously I used spray cans for this, but if I was to use paint, I'm gonna zoom in a bit. Okay, so the first thing I would do is get a brown by mixing my primary colors, or maybe I bought one, and this would be the brown. And then from that, I can pretty much do the whole portrait, apart from the lips and the eyes. So again, I would, so let's do 2. So on one of them, I would add darker values by adding some black. And really, that's all it is. Like, you have a brown and then just add black to it and look at all of these different shades that you can create. Again, if I start with this and then I was to add just white to the mix. I get all of those different hues for my portrait. And if for some reason it's a bit too pink and I want the tone to be a bit more on the yellow side, that's okay. Just add a touch of yellow to my mix as I'm mixing it. And then now I'm here towards that other color. Actually, I'll do another one next to it. And I'll go towards a medium brown. And as you can see, I've changed the color palette massively. And all I've used is a medium brown. And then, so a medium brown, then black, or medium brown, then white, or a different brown where I've just added a bit of yellow or a bit of pink, whatever. So in this case, for the skin, this is, I think, more accurate for this one. But if, say if I was to do the lips, do a color picker here. So this is the color where I could simply start with the brown, my medium brown that I had. So I'm gonna go here. And then with that, I would just add, I would go towards the pink, which is up here. Let me see. No, wait, I need some yellow with it. It would be something like this. So I've got my brown, and then I add some white and pink to the mix, and a bit more, and then I get towards the lip color, and then I can do a full palette to get exactly this color. Again, it would be so easy with paint. I would add a bit of pink to it. Actually, I'll go here simply, and from this I will put a bit of magenta. So I'm at 64%. Let's say I go 80%, and then there you go. You pretty much got a full different family. To get a bit more dull, obviously, like I said before, add a bit of black and white, which is this way. So I'll go a bit that way. And then I get something a bit more dull. So I go down a bit towards the black, get something like this, maybe not so much, maybe about here. And then I pretty much get the same color as I picked on the lips. And all of that is just by using black, white, and then your primary colors. So as you can see, all of those different colors, imagine if you were to buy all of those colors, all of those browns, all of those shades of lips and skins and whatever, it wouldn't be practical, and it would cost you a fortune as well. So as you can see, the usefulness of this is it's kind of weird at the beginning when you're not used to it. I remember I'd look at a yellow and a bright pink and a blue, and I'm like, how can I make a beige with those colors? But then you realize that, you know, with a bit of practice, you get your medium brown, and then you add a bit of white and whatever to it, and then you get all of those different tones. I've done some portraits just with brushes. I'll find one. This was a portrait that I painted in my workshop with just with paint with what you call it, emulsion paint, and then I added a bit of spray paint over the top on the lips and the skin texture and stuff. But most of it was done with brushes. As you can see, besides the drips, you can see the coarse effects. Like you got some like big marks, which was on purpose. They were on purpose, as opposed to this, which is a lot smoother. Obviously, besides the wall, which was really pretty bad. But you see, with a can, everything is a lot smoother. With a brush, you can also make it smooth, but the texture looks really cool. And all of those tones I just made using my my 5 colors and a brown, typical. So you can really do a lot with those primary colors. I feel like I haven't done the best explanation with one of the skin tones, for example. Any sort of lighter tone, like a beige or whatever. Really showing you that really all you have is cyan blue, magenta pink, and yellow. The reason you see the black, the green, the red, and the ultramarine blue is because they're overlapping, and that's the whole point. This is digital, so it's pixel on top of pixel, and really the RGB pixels. But when you're painting, it becomes one big mix. But just to show you that this is what it is, I've used this yellow car as an example, and also this this pattern, this skin tone. So I'm going to zoom in a bit, and I'm going to show you, as you can see. So the one on the left is just mixed digitally, and the one on the right, so it's exactly the same color. I've just pixelated one. So this one, you can see it's got magenta pink here, and then it's got yellow here, and it's got white. The rest, they're just like halftones, basically. So this is like magenta pink with some white. This one is yellow with some white. This one is orange because it's got pink, white, and yellow mixed together. So they're halftones, really. But all it is just these 2 pixels, the pink and the yellow and the white. And when they're mixed, which is basically what a billboard is, when you look at a good distance, it just looks like this peach sort of color. Really, this is what it is with the primary colors. When you're trying to make your browns, your beige, all of that, it's really those 3 colors mixed together. And of course, you can add black to make it darker or white to make it lighter. But it really is just the blue, the pink, and the yellow mixed together to create all of those colors. In this case, of course, with the pink and the yellow, you could make red. With the blue and the yellow, you could make green. So all of this you could make yourself. But digitally, they just they break it down digitally, basically. And if we ever look at the car, so it's the same picture, but one I've pixelated. So if I zoom in at the back of it, you'll see it's the same. You got cyan, magenta, and yellow, and then they're blending them together to have the greens, the reds, the black, I'm missing one, red. I said that. The blue, and as you can see, all of this mixed together makes the color that you want. But really, when you're painting, what it boils down to, this is pixels, so really this is RGB. But if this was a billboard, this is where you'd see. And when you're mixing your colors together, like I said, they don't stand alone like that, like little dots. They are all mixed together. But if you were to get like a skin tone, regardless the color of the skin tone, if you're painting a portrait, really, if you break it down to what you have in your mix, what you have really is just these 3 colors. You have your pink, your blue, and your yellow, and mix that together, and then you'll get shades of browns and beige and peach and all that stuff. So I hope this clarifies using the primary colors, but really practice on this one is going to be paramount for you to be really confident using the primary colors. And then, if a client tells you, well, I've got a burgundy and I want a lighter shade of burgundy or more maroon shade of burgundy, then you know exactly that, oh, no problem, just add a bit of black, a bit of white, a bit of yellow, and done. I think this is, as a mural artist, this is something that's going to be invaluable to you.